Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. It is I, BaoZakeruga, and today I am joined by an amazing roundtable of SRW creators to talk about our thoughts on SRW 30 so far. And today I am joined by the SRW hype man himself, WesttownHD, aka Blake.
It is that time. What's going on, guys? It's me, WesttownHD. Early in the morning, my throat and voice might sound a little different, but we're here to talk about that hype, that 30 greatness. Oh, it's gonna be good.
The SRW speedrun king himself, Revo.
Hi guys, I'm here.
The SRW YouTube aficionado himself, D180223.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me.
And the amazing translator that's helped us enjoy these games in the West, Dramata.
Hello.
Alright, so let's start this off with talking about just how we think about the game so far, where we're at, did it live up to our expectations, and I guess I'll go first with saying I was a bit, reserved about SRW 30 beforehand because of the new mission structure and how that would translate to the structure of the story, would it be good and all that. And honestly, they've surpassed my expectations. I'm really enjoying the game so far. It's really long, a lot longer than I thought it would be. I'm about 50 hours in, and I feel like I'm maybe at the halfway point. But it's a good experience, so I'm not, too shook up about that. But what did you guys think, Blake?
So yeah, definitely echoing what Bao said. I was a little nervous when they were kind of basically saying this SRW is open world, go and do whatever you want. I was like, this is gonna be a little weird from like the narrative standpoint. I hope that they don't they sacrifice the story in favor of making it this like big grand thing. And so far, I can easily say they have not. After a certain point, it feels like they kind of start funneling you towards certain areas, which I'm totally fine with. The story so far has been great. A lot of stuff that's happened has just been taking me by surprise. A lot of new debuts are also great. It's been great. It's been great. I'm loving it.
Awesome. What about you, Revo?
I love it. The mission select, it just opens up for a post game. It's just one of the things I love. It's kind of bare bones right now, but I think they can improve on it with future titles.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a post game. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, D1, what do you feel about the game so far?
I'm pretty early into the game, but I'm actually quite impressed with how they did the mission select. Because what they did is that they used the system from the older SRW games like say Compact and Impact, but they brought it to a higher level. Usually in those kind of games, can select the mission, but usually the missions will play out all the same. But in this game, if you say like in one of the earlier routes, like if you pick Competitor V over J Decker, there will be some changes in the mission format as well as the dialogue. So there's a lot of replayability when you replay the game to see how different choices will affect the dialogue as well as the character interactions. So I'm actually quite impressed with how they have done it. So if they need to do this in a future game, I hope they polish it further because it has a lot of potential.
I agree with that. What about you, Dramata? How are you feeling about it so far?
Oh my god, this game is long. I am 80 hours in and I am nowhere near done. I have not played an SRW this long since Impact.
Same.
I think it's longer than Impact now.
I feel like it is.
It
and
has
that's
to
a
be.
feat.
It definitely is.
I feel like that had a 2-year dev cycle. It's the length of 2 SRW games put together. It's ridiculous how long this game is.
Yes, it feels
It is
that way,
absurd. Not to quote my own work too much, but there's a recent interview where they asked Terada, if you think this game is well received, do you think you'll get asked to do the next game in the same way? Terada's response is, that would be hell, laugh. And I agree.
I'm really impressed with how much work has gone into, I picked this first, so then this doesn't happen, but then this happens, and then if I do it in the reverse way, this happens, but this doesn't happen. It's kind of insane the amount of work they put into stuff like that in this game. I really have to applaud them, and I understand if they refuse to ever do this again, because it's kind of ridiculous.
It definitely feels like a great anniversary game.
It is
Agreed.
incredibly ambitious.
So I know we all sort of touched on it already, but how do you guys feel about the mission format itself? Do you like it? Would you prefer it going back to, I guess, normal in the next SRW game, or would you actually love to see something like this again? Blake, how do you think?
So I shouldn't say I'm indifferent. Like I love the classic SRW formula. You have your stages kind of like Fire Emblem. You go through your route splits, you get your units like that. Certain units you get later in the game, vice versa. I love that system. It's tried and true, and it's completely unbroken. If they want to continue doing that, I'd be fine with that. But if they, moving forward, decided that they want to give SRW games 2-year development cycles and do something like this, like moving forward, I'd be okay with that. I just worry about like the obstacles that the team would have to consistently face with making games in this nature. And I mean, it's great, but I think the classic formula, there's nothing wrong with it. I'd say I prefer the classic formula. Like 30 is a great game, and I'm glad that they've tried something new. But I think, yeah, I'm gonna say that the classic formula, I'd prefer if they just continued with that.
Understandable. I know you briefly touched on it, Revo, but are you enjoying this new mission format? Would you want, like, say, the next game to be like this, or would you rather go back to traditional SRW?
I'd rather the game do this again. So,
oh, really?
I'm already almost 4 playthroughs in.
Jeez.
The second round, okay, so yeah, it took me like 80, 90 hours to beat base game with everything, like all the side stuff. When I went through my second playthrough, it only took me like 6 hours because I was only focusing on key missions.
Interesting. Actually, good to know, because I was curious how long this game would be for someone that only focused on the key missions. I'm assuming you also skipped story cutscenes that time as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so good to know. Because they said this game would be shorter if you just stuck to the key missions in a traditional SRW, but it's good to know.
That's crazy.
It's pretty much 43-ish stages if you just focus on story missions.
Not too bad at all.
Yeah.
Okay. D1, how do you feel about this new mission structure overall? And would you prefer to do this again, or would you just want to go back to regular SRW?
Like what I mentioned, I feel like it has a lot of potential, but perhaps it could use a bit more polishing. Polishing as in, like, there's that when after you finish the first four missions, there's a big split. It's possible for you to miss things if you're not careful. Perhaps they could streamline things to make sure you maybe don't have so many missions after you finish 4 stages. Like, keep it simple, but also still have all the interesting dialogue, optional dialogue, as well as interesting crossover. So they could streamline it while still keeping the essence of the system.
I see what you mean, because
I think it can be ambitious. Like, if you took the Earth route after stage 4, you're given so many things to do, and as you progress through the game, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It can get overwhelmed with so much things to do.
Definitely understand what you mean, because I think the only one I've missed so far is the only unit I've missed so far is the Black 6 from Majestic Prince, and they just showed up out of nowhere. But there's definitely a couple stages I missed that I wanted to do, but just didn't have time to. So I see what you mean by they could polish that out.
Or the game forced you to do key missions when you wanted to do something else.
Yeah, that could be enough.
Yeah, maybe they should remove that. Like,
I think they should remove the force deploy.
I can agree.
I think that it could work if they have a better visible warning system for it. Like, if they say this mission will be mandatory in another 3 stages, I think that would be acceptable, because that gives you time to prepare what you're doing. And if you, like, I see 3 improvements. First, make the emergency mission counter visible. If there is a countdown toward an emergency mission, let the player know. Second, DLC stages should not increment that counter.
Agreed.
Like, I have done DLC stages that have led into emergency missions, and every time it leaves me with a sour taste in my mouth, like, I could have been doing a real stage here instead of just this little tiny contained thing. And I don't want to have a sour taste in my mouth when I do the DLC stages, because those are some of the funniest in the game.
Really are.
The other thing I think they could do is just generally make the structure more visible in, like, if you do this stage, this will trigger an emergency mission, if that comes up. Like, more transparency on it would be better. But
Definitely agreed.
as you guys have said, this was very ambitious, and I'm sure that there's plenty of fine-tuning to be done. But I also hope that they don't do it this way again, because it was really hard keeping track of speech text throughout this game when the stages are this disjointed and things could happen in any order.
I was going to ask you about that because that seems like a programming nightmare to deal with, especially with translating on top of that.
Yeah, like, thank God we were using translation memory software to keep the same dialogue strings, but that had its own drawbacks too. Like, people have seen where some things slipped in that shouldn't have, like misgendering the main character. And that's unfortunate, but, you know, we also didn't have as much time in the oven as we would have liked with this text.
Understandable. I mean, for what time you had, it's been pretty much phenomenal in my opinion.
I'm glad to hear it. We
Definitely
had a lot
been
of
a
fun
joy.
with it. We had a lot of fun with it, even if the editor and I were tearing our hair out.
Oh boy.
Sounds
Very
like
odd.
game dev in a nutshell, honestly.
Yes.
I just love all the personality and like it definitely feels like V, like you can tell V was translated by like a different team because like from X onward, I just feel like there's been like a bit more like flavor in it.
I feel like almost with every game, starting with Moon Dwellers, it's been improving more and more.
Definitely.
It's always nice. Alright, so let's ask around the room what your favorite crossover interactions are so far, without going to like late game spoilers or anything. And I think my personal favorite is probably the DLC mission where... No, it's two DLC missions actually. One where you're on the beach and is dealing with Gridman and Majestic Prince stuff. And okay, Tamaki, in my opinion, was just the star of that stage. Like her dialogue, just golden in that stage. And the other one was the Idol DLC, where the EFF essentially wants like propaganda for an idol group from the Trace Traeger, and it doesn't go well. Let's just say that. And Colin, C2, Mitsuba, the captain of the Majestic Prince ship. It's just shenanigans, and I had a lot of fun with that. I felt a lot funny. What about you, Blake?
So to date, one of my favorite interactions is when Quattro shows up, because we all know it's post Char's counterattack. Char has already attempted mass genocide of the human race. So when he shows up on that stage and he's like, "My name is Lieutenant Quattro Vegeta," and Ryoma says, "Shut up! You can't be here." And then when they're like trying, he's like, "I'd like to join you," and then Koji and Ryoma are like, "We're gonna beat the shit out of you, boy."
That was a great
Guys,
moment.
You know,
such a good scene.
I really like that. Like, I was talking about that with a friend recently, and he put it into incredible perspective when he said that to him it was like Ryoma and Koji trying to protect Amuro from a toxic ex.
It's
It
true.
just made it all click.
So true.
It's true. And it's great.
It's true.
That one and the like the sub dialogue onboard mission you get between Quattro and Lelouch, talking about what would have happened if Axis did fall, or if like Lucius planted. That was also another really great interaction. This game's been so good with interactions.
Almost forgot about
And
that
then
one, but yeah, it's one of my favorites too.
And then of course literally any scene Ernie is in. Literally any scene he's in.
Yes.
Read.
Best boy. Alright, Revo, any particular ones that stuck out to you so far you really like?
I really like how they kind of mixed in Code Geass and gun swords stuff.
That has been cool, especially since the Geass movie stuff has been short, so I guess something else to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Clawman has he has his hand in a lot of stuff. I think another one was I think it was a side mission. It was Eldora 5 guys and combattler training.
Oh, that was great.
Yes.
It was so good.
That was a great stage. I didn't expect to like as much as I did. What about you, D1? Any crossover stuff you love so far?
By what Blake mentioned, anything to do with Ernie.
Oh yeah.
And I think one of my favorite moments regarding him is him meeting Akane. You have the mecha otaku meeting the kaiju otaku.
I expected them to like each other a bit more.
But Akane is Akane.
True.
Akane is Akane.
It's like two positive magnets repelling each other.
Then one of these meetings is the earlier game. Like you have Yuta from Gridman meeting Yuta from J Decker, and there was some confusion because both of them had the same name. As well
Spider-Man
as
meme.
Yeah. And I think one minor one is like how Masaki, he has unique quotes when supporting Gridman because they both share the same voice actor, Haru Midorikawa.
Yes.
Like he has unique quotes for when he's supporting Gridman, but sadly not the other way around. The little Easter egg that he put in.
Yeah, I haven't used Misaki at all in this game, so I didn't know that, but I'm kind of curious to test that out now for myself.
My favorite is this really dumb throwaway gag in the middle of a V Gundam stage where Uso is like, I hear bells, and Wendy's like, oh, you must have heard Van's hat jingling.
I think I know what stage you're referring to. I haven't done it, because I think that's the one with like the V2 assault parts that you need like 100 kills or Uso for. I just know the title's like Bell something.
Is it? Okay. See, I have that mission, and I haven't done it yet, because I'm like, I think it's a key mission? So it's weird that... Maybe they just give it to me early if you get 100 kills.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Bells on the Battlefield, I believe.
That's a great little thing, though. I know fans were like complaining that Van didn't have the little jingle in T, so they added that back for 30.
I actually
Agreed.
didn't notice.
Yeah.
I complained about that in P.
He had it in K, then he didn't have it in T. Then it's funny that even the mobile game he has the jingle, so
Oh my gosh.
people were surprised.
Anything else particular that you liked so far, Dramata, or is that it?
Oh, there's just so much. I also like the Magic Knights and the Getter team.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very wholesome. Like, these grown men just trying not to let down these middle schoolers who think that they're the coolest thing.
It is cute. Alright, so I already talked about how I missed out on Black 6. Was there anything else you guys got where it's just like, oh, I'm here now and I'm part of your team? Or was that just me with Black 6?
See, I got Black 6 the regular way. I don't think anyone has, like, force joined me yet. At least as far as I've gotten. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
I don't recall anybody.
Which is crazy. Like, you'd think that there would be, like, eventually some merger stage where they would force join people that haven't joined inside stages, but no.
Yeah, when we went into 30 at first, when it asked you to start if you want to do Earth or Space, I was like, okay, maybe this game will actually still have route splits. Like every so many stages, you can choose to be locked into one area. You can only stay there, and then it remerges. Nope. After stage 4, that's the only route split you get. As far as I know, at least. I don't know. There might be one later on, but I think the true ending is locked behind a route split or something like that.
Yeah, it's a left route and a right route.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that, because I'd like, if you're at that point in the game, you know what I'm referring to, I'm on the second question or whatever. So, very curious how that will play out.
See, Akarasu didn't have the secrets up for that. And the first question, I was like, oh, I'll just answer like this. And I was like, and going back, I was like, oh, that was the wrong answer. Oh.
I think you had plenty of opportunity, though. So
I think
you'll be
I
fine.
did, yeah.
Yeah, and what's really nice is that they give you visible feedback for it. They will tell you which way the scales tip.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to go one direction over the other, you can quick load.
That is true. That is true.
I was
It's
also
really involved,
surprised Because I chose the Earth route, and I just stuck with the Earth route until I was done with like everything on it. So I didn't see a single Gundam until like 20 something hours into the game, which is kind of insane considering it's SRW.
Yeah. Yeah, you
think the
really
first-
can just skip things.
I think the first one I got was Yona, and I'm in the minority by saying that I like narrative. So I've been using the heck out of him. I think he's really great, but I don't think 30 has any units that are actually bad. Like if you try hard enough, literally anyone will be doing 10k off a swing.
The narrative is super good.
It's also
Cannot
the
wait to get
first
their other packs.
SRW where I'm like swapping around people. I usually just stick to one solid team, and if you're not on that team, you'll be used on another playthrough.
Same.
It's been kind of refreshing in a way.
And I think the reason, at least for me, why I've been switching around people so much is because of the lack of route splits. Normally when you play an SRW game, you're like, okay, here's the route I'm going to choose, here's the units I'm going to choose, and I'm going to go through the game like that. Since there's no route splits, it's like you're always on like a universal route split where certain stages deploy certain people, so it feels like you always have to be using and rotating.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. Like, you need to make up your own variety if the game doesn't give you artificial constraints.
True.
In my
Good way
game,
to put it.
everybody is an ace, by the way.
My friend Reed says like that. He said like only 2 people aren't aces for him.
It's ridiculous. Everyone who joins me now joins with the ace bonus. And there are certain characters that are like pops at will once, or like pops at like special ability pops at like well 130 with the ace bonus at 110, and they deploy at 120. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll never see that animation.
It's always sad.
That's more or less it for the topics I had, but if you guys want to discuss anything else, any other thoughts about the game, disappointments, anything else that you noted, free to talk about it.
So one thing that I've been kind of asking myself recently is modern SRW easy because the games are easy, or is it easy because they keep adding quality of life changes and keep adding more features that make it even more easy?
I think you may be right with the second, for the simple fact, I thought the series got super easy with Z2, but then our friend Sosuke Blake, he thought the game was challenging, because that was like his first SRW game.
Well,
So I think that may be part of it.
You remember when I played Z2, I got to the final stage, and I could not beat Gaio, and to this day I have never beat Gaio.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure now that I've gone through A Portable, God bless my soul, I'm sure I can go back to Z2 and I'd probably be able to beat the final boss with relative ease, but I just remember that final fight just rubbing me the wrong way so hard. Like, the last, 10 stages of Z2 Part 1 just killed me.
You also chose the harder version of him, if memory serves, because it gives you
And
a choice.
I also wasn't using any Gundams at that point because I was new to mecha anime, so it's... there was a lot of sin in that playthrough. It's fine.
Classic rookie mistake. I have some thoughts on the difficulty. So first off, this is a game that lets you select your difficulty at the start instead of dynamically changing it around with SR points. And that's a huge deal. Like, I miss SR points as an optional objective that you can use to get cool stuff, and I think that those could get worked back in somehow, but I think selectable difficulty, where what you see is what you get, is the way to go in the future. Quality of life affecting difficulty, I'm not sure I agree on that. Like, it affects the speed at which you can get through challenges. Like, you can quick load really fast nowadays. And
Right.
you can see things like whether or not you'll shoot an enemy down without having to just do trial and error, but I don't think that actually makes it easier. That just makes it smoother.
Okay.
I see where you're coming from.
I think the biggest quality of life improvement that would affect difficulty is being able to use Seishin whatever turn, even in the enemy's turn.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
that
I
is
agree.
huge and difficulty affecting, yeah.
Yeah. I think they are scaling it down to make it easier for newcomers. So there are pros and cons. I'm sure some of us miss skill points, and I'm sure that they'll come back. Like, the OG games will definitely bring back skill points. It's a staple in those games.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, yes.
I was gonna say the OG games. Whenever they get around to making the next OG game, it is gonna be, if there's any people that like pick up OG like the next OG game after playing like VX and T, we're gonna have articles saying the OG timeline is the Dark Souls timeline of Super Robot Wars, because I swear the OG games still retain most of their difficulty.
I feel like that difficulty is artificial in a way, because a lot of that comes down to escort missions of uncontrollable NPCs.
Yep.
And that's the only game that hasn't done that is OG Gaiden, which means I hold OG Gaiden in the highest regard out of the series.
But didn't OG Gaiden have like super heavy like HP sponge bosses?
It did, and it was awful. But they don't have uncontrollable Fetty NPCs. The Fetty NPCs they give you are completely controllable. You can park them on a hangar spot and just have them turtle.
Sounds balanced.
Yeah. I agree in general about the difficulty points. Like, reactive spirits are huge. Like, being able to just use 4C on an enemy turn to have a guy tank like 5 hits in a row that he should be getting killed from. That's a huge game changer.
Also,
Yeah.
I feel like modern SRW bosses, like when you play classic ones, typically if you fight like the big bad of a series, like Dr. Hell or Zool from God Mars, or something, you know they're either gonna have a broken map attack, they're gonna have movement, they can move three times per turn, or they're gonna have both. And it feels like modern SRW bosses kind of only have like 2 attacks, and not really a whole lot else.
You just reminded me when I fought Queen Sephiroth in this game. She moves 3 times, and that surprised me. I was like, okay, she's done. Oh, she's done. Ma'am, please. I would like to
And
have
she
my
has
turn.
Awaken.
And she has Awakened.
So she moves 4 times, actually.
Jesus.
If she had one map attack and she kept using it, I think I probably, because you can't use anything during map attacks. Like you can't even like spirits that you can use on your own turn. You can't use those during map attacks, so you have to rely on your own dodging.
Yeah. The thing about her is that she doesn't have potential. So she is like the guy before her is a huge tank, but she is a glass cannon who will go down in like 3 or 4 good hits.
Yeah, that's true.
So the counter, like she's got full counter, she's got the 4 movement that's marked as triple movement, and that's basically it. But yeah, boss difficulty goes out the window as soon as you start getting Valor.
Oh yeah. I think my grid man will one-shot any boss right now.
I'm in the
Understandable,
process
really.
of doing something similar.
Good.
Knowing Revo, he's gonna have a freaking Jigen fighting the final boss next week.
I think he already did that, actually. I saw
Okay.
you post some grunt unit and like killing a boss on Twitter.
It was the gun blaster with the
Oh, no.
weakest attack, the Vulcans, one-shotting Zoltan for 100,000.
Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
God.
Wow.
What a god. Who was
So-
piloting it?
It was Camille.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So he gets the plus 20% counter bonus, got it.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
a question for Revo. So would you say because of this game's like auto battling exploit, it's a lot easier to grind because you don't have to do it yourself?
Oh god, yes.
I say
Sup-
it took you. You said it took you like around a month of grinding for that T setup, right?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I
Good
don't want to
lord.
do that again.
That's commitment to a bit.
It
I was
really
gonna
is.
say,
The last boss of T on the if route, he will repeatedly spawn 20 Tyrannados.
Oh my god.
So I have a setup to where I just spam select to just counter kill everything. And then another 20 set spawn. And I have them just far enough to where I don't have to not attack
Oh
Daima.
my god.
So
I did that in Alpha 3, actually. Okay. Can I tell my Alpha 3 story real quick?
go for it.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so there's this one stage in Alpha 3 where you have to, like, guard the black hole bomb from, like, infinite waves of
Oh,
aliens,
I know
right?
what you're referring to, yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, so I decided to see, like, so the skill point and the goal that will, like, end the stage, well, it won't end the stage, but the skill point goal is to get 80 kills in that stage. So I decided to see how high I could go. So, I set up the Idion at a certain spawn point. There are like 6 spawn points in the stage, and I was able to position the Idion so that enemies from 4 of those spawn points would come over to it. And then I would just use its non-map weapon, All Attack, which would one-shot them. And I would just keep doing this and keep triggering waves until enemies finally just stopped coming within counter range, which would usually take like 3 or 4 waves per turn.
Jeez.
Long story short, at the end of that stage, by my own counting, I had around, I want to say, 1,375 kills.
Good lord.
Which is a shame, because the kill counter in that game only goes up 3 digits.
Bro, that sounds horrifying. Before 30 came out, I was like, I've got like 10 stages left in Alpha 1. I'm playing through the Alpha trilogy for the first time.
Nice.
I'm gonna play Gaiden after that. That sounds horrifying.
You don't have to do this at all. Like,
Power
you
of
could just
Idion.
get 80 kills and call it good.
Sounds like free money.
It absolutely was free money. Never leave money on the table.
Yeah, I've hit those kind of caps in T.
Nice.
In T, it caps at 9,999. And my
Oh,
judo
wow.
has like 17,000 kills.
Amazing.
I'm glad that Revo was able to figure that out for the community.
Yeah, see, we're here talking about Super Robot Wars 30 and like the story stuff. I'm just here for like the mechanics of the game.
That's
Oh,
totally valid.
Yeah, a lot of people enjoy these games for different reasons. All
Like,
valid.
it's funny. Like I'm doing my ridiculous damage stuff, and people keep asking me like, "Oh, how do you do so much damage?" And I'm like, it's like impractical setups that you just should not even attempt to do, because it just takes way longer than just killing it normally.
I will say it is a marvel watching the things you come up with. Just your setups, your speedruns is really cool.
Thank you.
Remember in W where damage capped at 65, 535, so you couldn't actually see who did the highest damage?
That's a weird restrictment.
W was just
Old school
pick
game.
whatever broken unit you want to use.
Yeah. Like, you can hit it with Tekkaman, you can hit it with the Arbalest, do whatever you want.
Alright, so I think that will do it for our SRW discussion. Big thank you to everyone that came out. We had an amazing time. And thank you to everyone that stuck with us to the end of this. You guys are all amazing creators in the community, and I'm so glad we got to do this. Anything else you want to say before we leave? Go right ahead.
By Super Robot Wars 30.
Yes.
Support it.
Yes,
Get the season's pass
buy the
too.
game.
I hope you all enjoy the game, and no, I'm not going to be passing on bugs, so you don't need to send them to me, thanks.
Alright. It has been great. We will see you guys later.
Deuces.
Have a good day.
See ya.
Bye.